Welcome back, 7th graders. We are on to lesson 5-6 in our textbook on page 275. Here we are going to be estimating percents. So we are not going to be using our calculators this time around. So if you have one, tuck it away, but make sure you have your notes out and you're making very readable notes, helpful notes that could help you on a study guide or later on, and you can look back on and really know what you're doing. Okay, so let's get started. Compatible numbers is a vocabulary word we're touching on this time. Compatible numbers are two numbers that are easy to divide mentally. So numbers that you can work with without having to worry about having to get a calculator or getting stressed out. So numbers that are easy to divide mentally. Okay, 5 and 10. Things that end in 0, things that end in 5. Even numbers divided by 2. Things like that. Okay, so things that are easy to divide mentally. This chart that we used in 5-4, we're going to want to revisit. We're going to want to talk about. This chart is going to guide us through some things that we need to revisit, like fractions and percents that are equivalent. Okay, so ones you struggle with, mostly probably this column and this column, you're going to want to kind of keep track of and keep up with. Okay, so revisit that at any time. So examples, if we wanted to estimate 19% of 30, well, 19, not really anybody's number that is easily divisible by much. Okay, so what we're going to do instead of grabbing a calculator and getting an exact, we're going to estimate. We're going to use estimation to when we don't need an exact answer, we need about an answer. So we know that 19% is about 20%, or which we know is 1/5. Okay, we know 1/5 and 20% is the same. Okay, we also know that 5 and 1/5 and 30 are very compatible numbers. Okay, so we can use that instead. So we're going to say 1/5 of 30. Okay, and we're going to do that 1/5 of 30, and we can check our math. 1/5 of 30, we know 30 divided by 5 is 6. So 1/5 or 20% of 30 is 6, which means that, so 19% is about, it's going to be near that, maybe a little bit different, about 6. I should have said 19. I should have said 6 is 19% of 30, or 19% of 30. Sorry for my confusion. So 19% of 30 is about 6. Okay, so we just changed by 1%, not too much. Okay, so another example would be 40% of 49. Well, 40% is a nice number. That's really just 2/5. 5 isn't really compatible with 49, but 50 is close to 49. So we could say, well, 2/5 of 50. So 2/5 of 50 instead. 5 goes in here once, 5 goes in here 10 times. Then we have 2 times 10, which is 20. So we have here is 40% of 49 is about 20. It's not exactly 20, but it's near there. Notice how we didn't change 40% to 50%. That would be jumping 10%. That's just too much. Okay, so you got to stay really, really close. 65% of 76. Okay, using your chart, you're going to use this. 65% is close to 66 and 2/3%. Not one we probably memorize too often, but this is close to 66 and 2/3%, or which is the same as 2/3. 76 is close to 75. 3 and 75 are very compatible numbers. I know that 3 goes into 75 because I know 75 cents is really 3/4. Okay, so instead, I'm going to say, well, I know 1/3 of 75 is 25. Okay, but am I looking for 1/3? No, I'm looking for 2/3. So that means I have 2 of these 1/3, which is going to be 50. Okay, and then so we have 2 times 2 of them is going to be 50. Okay, you could do it that long way and do just times 1/3 and then times another third, or the other way where you just do 2/3 right away of 75 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 75, 25 times, 2 times 25, you still get 50. Okay, so using that number sense, breaking it up how you think is best. So what we know here, and we put it in different words, and hopefully I can write this up here. So 65% of 76 is about, not exact, 50. Okay, and again, you can use these examples in your book to help you out. We're still on page 275. Last one here, which is an example on the bottom that you could try, is looking for 25% of 41. 25% we know is 1/4. 40, we're going to say estimate to about 40 instead of 41. We know that 1/4 of 40, we should know that 40 divided by 4 is 10. Hopefully you can see that without even having to do that. So what we know then is 25% of 41 is about 10. These fractions and these percents are helping us so much, and we're going to be awesome in our daily lives here. All right, so here we have this question on example 4 here about a word problem. Using this in word problems and using this to estimate kind of, you don't need an exact number. So about 11% of the population is left-handed. If there are about 13 million people in Illinois, about how many residents of Illinois are left-handed? Okay, well 11%, hey, that's close to 10%. So we have 11% of 13 million. Instead, why don't we say 10% or 1/10 of 13 million? Because 11% is about 10%. They're close. We know that multiplying by 1/10 is really just moving the decimal 1 in. So that's equivalent to 1 3/10 million. So we can say, so about 1 3/10 million residents of Illinois are left-handed out of the 13 million. Not a bad strategy, really, at all. Last one you can try here. A circulating $5 bill in the United States lasts about 22% as long as a $100 bill. If a $100 bill lasts 9 years, estimate how long a $5 bill lasts. Okay, so this would be a good one to try. Knowing some of the facts that you do, okay, about what to round and what to round. Knowing 22% is near 20% would be a good strategy. Okay, and there's a sample answer because sometimes people do it a little differently. So a sample answer would be 20% of 9. Okay, so we have, because the 9 years is where that's coming from. So or 1/5 of 10, so rounding it up to 10, and that's about 2 years. So that's one sample answer there. Okay, so keep an eye on those. Keep practicing those types of word problems. Maybe think of a situation where you might have to use estimation in the real world. Okay, and bring that with you on your notes. Last one, last situation is estimating percents. So now estimating percents, you're going to use these to make a fraction, figure out it's close to something. Okay, so 8 out of 25. Well, 8 out of 25 is close to 8 out of 25 is kind of like 8 out of 24, right? That's only one less than 25, but 8 and 24 are much more compatible, okay? They're much more compatible because they reduce to be 1/3, okay? So if I have 1/3, there, I know that 1/3, especially for my chart that I'm working on, is the same as 33 and 1/3%. So what this means is, and if I wrote a whole sentence out here, and I should be better about doing that. I like my calligraphy pen today. So 8 out of 25 is 33 and 1/3%. That's what that means. Not bad, not bad at all. Just knowing numbers that you can divide. Okay? So over here, we have 89 out of 121. 89 out of 121. 89 is going to round. We'll write that out first. 89 out of 121 is approximately the same as, let's round up to 90, and let's round down to 120. I know that 12 and 9 are numbers that are compatible and that can be divisible. Sorry, someone knocked on my door. And so I know that that can simplify too. Well, these cancel 9 out of 12. This is the same as 3/4 because 30 goes into both of those numbers. So 3/4 is what we get as that fraction. So since we know 3/4 is the same as 75%, what we can say is 89 out of 121 is about 75%. Okay, just two more and give them a try. Pause and come back. Okay, 14 out of 25. 14 out of 25. What is that similar to? What numbers could you choose? You kind of want to keep it close, okay? I'm not going to want to change this to 28 because that's changing by a lot of digits, whereas changing 15 is just one digit. 15 out of 25. Staying closer. There's a study tip in your book that says when estimating, estimate so that you change the ratio the least. So change it as least as possible to be as close with your estimation as possible. So these both go, 5 goes into both of these. So this is actually the same as 3/5. I know that 3/5 is equal to how much? 60%. So what this means is, so 14 out of 25 is about 60%. Last one over here, 7 out of 79. What would we do there? Think about how could you change this to the least? Well, just one away here. One away of G could be 7 out of 79. I could round this to 8 and this to 80. I didn't change them much. They're pretty compatible. This simplifies. 8 goes into both. So this is the same as 1/10. Okay? 1/10 is the same as 10%. So what this means is, so 7 out of 79 is approximately 10%. Hopefully you didn't find this too challenging. Hopefully it was kind of fun, kind of just use those. Without your calculator, why not? You got a brain that works pretty well. So make sure to rewatch, reread, watch somebody else's. Personal tutor, you guys don't use this enough. It's free, why not? All right, have a great rest of your time, and we'll see you next time.